Advertisements are a loosely tolerated aspect of existing in the modern world that most people agree suck harder than a blowjob in the vacuum of space. That said, not all ads are created equally, and for every advertisement that blends seamlessly into the media landscape, there are ones that bombard your senses with stimuli until you pay attention to them. Something that television ads are no longer allowed to do, at least in the United States, thanks to the efforts of one woman.
Okay, so just to clarify, this is about adverts on TV shown in the US.
Yes, to be clear, the story we're about to cover refers specifically to advertisements on terrestrial television in the United States. And with that caveat out of the way, let's talk about the lady who spent a not insignificant amount of her time strangling the last wheezing breath out of the media juggernaut that is television advertisements.
Okay, Karl, so who is this lady?
Well, the lady we're talking about today is a US representative called Eshoo. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And the story as she tells it is that sometime around 2008, she was enjoying a Thanksgiving meal with her family while a TV was on in the background. A scenario I'm guessing a good amount of people watching this very video can empathise with and imagine. Especially around the holidays, that time, like around Christmas time, there's always a TV on in the background around Christmas time with like a movie or something on it, like an old episode of Only Fools and Horses if you're in the UK. And Nisha, you know, I know it's miles away now at the time of recording this, but do you have any like specific TV traditions around the holidays?
We always watch the same Christmas film every year.
Cheers.
The Holiday.
Remind me. Go on.
It's got Jack Black in it, Jude Law, Cameron Diaz, and Kate Winslet. And it's about these two women who are single and they just want to get away for the holidays, so they like swap houses. So one of them lives in Surrey, England, and the other one lives in LA, so they swap houses for the winter.
I am drawing a complete blank on this. Is this a made-up movie?
No, it's real.
I have no awareness of this movie at all. Well, the movie for me, you know, it's the classics. Like, you know, I watch Die Hard, I watch like Only Fools and Horses, Christmas specials, things like that. But the one that I want to mention, because I know it'll annoy my girlfriend who watches these videos, is the film Nativity and its many sequels. And Nisha, are you familiar with the Nativity series?
Not the series. I think I might have seen like the first one ages ago.
Well, they are terrible, terrible movies, but they specifically annoy my girlfriend because there's a character in them called Mr. Poppet, played by an actor whose only other notable screen credit is a short-lived Channel 4 reality game show where he would play an obnoxious dickhead friend, in quotation marks, for people not looking at the screen right now, and for you at home, Nisha.
Yeah.
And the idea was you have to then convince friends and family that this dickhead is your best friend that they've never heard of, and he would just be an obnoxious prick the entire time to try and, like, you know, get you to break character and, like, you know, just destroy the ruse. And with that in mind, you can probably guess the kind of character he plays in the film, which is just an obnoxious prick who doesn't listen to anyone.
Alright, so continuing the story, what happened to Eshoo?
Well, she was just, you know, enjoying some casual conversation with her family and with a TV on in the background quietly when suddenly an advert played at such ear-splitting volume it legitimately interrupted the conversation taking place, to which Eshoo told her brother-in-law, "Can you not turn that down? It's really distracting." And Eshoo's brother-in-law, who I can only imagine had had a few given how leery his response sounds when it's recounted, just smartly shot back, "You're a US representative, why don't you do something about it?" To which Eshoo realised, yeah, why can't I do something about it? This should be illegal, I'll do that right now. And for anyone out there thinking that loud advertisements on TV is a pretty petty issue for a congresswoman to, like, you know, sink her teeth into and to dedicate a significant amount of her time to addressing, I should point out that the FCC have noted that, yeah, the number one complaint we get from the public each year is loud adverts on TV. And for anyone out there who's ever watched television, like either in the United States or elsewhere, you'll know that adverts are generally almost always louder than the television shows that flank them. And there's a reason for that, which you can get to in a moment, but like, it is fucking annoying, isn't it?
The first advert that comes to my mind is, "Hi, I'm Barry Scott."
Yeah.
Because that just blows your ears out.
Yeah, and that's the header image for the original article this video is based on. And for Americans who don't know, Barry Scott is just a loud prick. And the adverts he appeared in were infamous because it's just him screaming at the top of his voice, "Hi, I'm Barry Scott, and I'm here to talk to you today about Cillit Bang! Bang and the dirt is gone."
Cillit Bang Universal Degreaser! Bang and the dirt is gone!
It became such like a maligned like aspect of British pop culture that it got referenced in horrible histories. Like, do you know what they do? Hi, I'm a shouty man. That's a direct reference to Barry Scott.
Hi, I'm a shouty man.
It's a good way to get them to remember your advert, though.
It is. It's memorable, but for all the wrong reasons, because I made a mental note upon seeing those adverts as a kid, like, I will never buy this product.
We also have to give a shout out to the Go Compare man.
You know, a literal shout out, because that's all that man does. And for Americans watching who don't know who the Go Compare man is, allow us to educate you about the Go Compare man. Here he is.
Go compare, go compare. Go be sure when you insure first, go compare.
Yeah, they are really, really bad, and he's still going as well.
Yep, they still make adverts featuring that character, and they now lean into how annoying everyone finds him. Like, they had a series of adverts where it's just people kicking the shit out of him. And the thing is, I feel sorry for the guy who plays him, because he's an actual opera singer in real life. Like, the guy's got an album.
Yeah.
And it's just you feel bad for him, but the adverts are really, really, really annoying.
Yeah.
And you know, it's such a commonplace thing just in advertisements to make them as obnoxious as possible, via whatever stimuli the advert attracts your attention. Like, for example, with radio, they always make adverts that are very loud. With television, they make adverts that are visually very obnoxious and like eye-catching and loud. Internet advertisements, which generally are visual based, that's really bright and garish, and it's awful. Nobody likes it, and I can only think of that one good scene in Ready Player One where they just have like the people in the headsets. It's like, we figured out we can cram their peripheral with 85% ads before seizures are induced.
We estimate we can sell up to 80% of an individual's visual field before inducing seizures.
They're so bad, and nobody likes them, which is why Eshoo knew like this was an issue that she was going to get pretty universal support for, because nobody likes these things. And as mentioned, it's the number one most complained about thing to the FCC every single year. And for anyone out there wondering, well, why are adverts on TV so loud? Surely there's a limit to how loud they can and are permitted to be. And there is, but that limit is generally not reached by television shows, but it is reached by advertisers, because most television shows like to mix their sound to sound good. For example, they'll have highs, they'll have lows. So, for example, whispering will be on the lower end of the sound spectrum that they're at. A gunshot or a car crash will be up here, and then normal conversation, which is pretty much the majority of all shows, will be somewhere in the middle. With adverts, because they don't care about sound quality, they just mix everything to be right up here the entire time. And I think it's a Lee Evans joke where it says, it's almost like they're shouting after you because they know you're walking out of the room.
Hey, come back, look at my product.
Yeah, come look at this Cillit bang. Do you want to see it clean this penny? And it's like, no, I don't, Barry Scott, fuck you. And yeah, that's why the adverts are so loud. And the pertinent piece of information in that explanation is that advertisements are technically allowed to be that loud, but it's, they're following the letter of the law, but not the spirit of it, because, those limits are put in place, not expecting someone to just constantly have the volume at max the entire time.
But they do.
They do, because fuck it, no one's telling us we can't, which is when Eshoo realised that that's why we need to step in. Because if advertisements aren't going to do this themselves, they need to have, an outside service make them do that, because, evidently they can't be trusted to do it by themselves, because why would they? We all know that if you gave advertisers the chance, they would fucking bombard ads everywhere. Like, for example, folks at home, you all know that if the advertisers had their way, this entire video would just be bombarded with ads. There'd be ads in every single fucking corner of it. You would not be able to move for ads. Like, I would have to be dodging around the ads. And I'm guessing that every single person watching this has encountered a YouTube video where it's absolutely crammed full of ads. And it's awful. It's like it completely decimates the end user experience.
So what was this law that she brought in?
Well, she drafted a piece of legislation known as and I'm going to get it here, the Commercial Advertisement Loudness Mitigation Act, or the CALM Act, which, in a nutshell, basically told advertisers, nah.
Calm down. Pretty much calm down.
Calm the fuck down with these loud-ass ads. It's taking the piss now. Nobody likes it. And one of the amusing things about this story is that, according to Eshoo, it's one of the easiest pieces of legislation she's ever managed to get passed, because every single one of her constituents she talked to immediately agreed with her and signed stuff when she mentioned it. It's like, who wouldn't? It's like, imagine you just sat there and get a knock on your door. It's like, hello, who are you? Oh, I'm your representative. Do you mind answering a few questions for me? I guess so. And what do you want to know? Well, do you watch television? Yes. Do you like advertisements? No. Do you like advertisements that are really loud? Yeah, what's the deal? No, I hate that. What's the deal with that? Well, I've got legislation here that I'm trying to push through that will stop that. And people like just snatching it out and signing it straight. Stop that shit right now.
How many times can I sign this?
To stop it right fucking now. Like I said, like, people write letters on complaint to the FCC every single year complaining about this. This is it's the most complained about thing in regards to television advertisements. And as mentioned, Eshoo was able to get this law through the courts pretty painlessly, with the only real resistance coming from. Do you want to guess it, Nisha? Do you want to guess who was resistant to this change?
The people who want to advertise their shit.
Of course it was advertisers, yes. They kicked up a huge fuss and dragged their heels the entire time, to the point where advertisers across the United States were given a year leeway to quiet down their ads after the law was brought in. So even after it was brought in and enshrined in US law, they were still given like a year grace period to cut that shit out. And as you might imagine, folks at home, given all we've talked about advertisements and your own experience seeing advertisements, they more saw that as a challenge and just kept the ads as loud as possible until the last possible second, quieting them down, and then in recent years have slowly started to ramp the volume back up, hoping that nobody would notice. And yeah, good luck with that.